Hey guys, Saurav here for Simple Snippets and welcome to the fifth video in the Getting Started with Python series. And in this video, we will be talking about loops in Python. So let us jump right into it. To start off, a loop is a block of code which you want to repeat multiple times based on a condition. A very simple example is printing your name 10 times in a row. In this case, the print statement is the repeated block of code and the condition is that we need to print it exactly 10 times. In other words, when our counter reaches 10, we need to exit the loop. In Python, there are two kinds of loops, a for loop and a while loop. Even though they both essentially do the same exact thing, they are slightly different in syntax and execution. Let us first take a look at the for loop. The for loop is generally used more than the while loop. It is useful when you want to iterate over a list or a string or a dictionary even. Over here, I have initialized a list of strings in the myList variable. Also, I have initialized another variable called length, which stores the length of our list using the len function. Now, this is what I want to do. I want to loop over each element of this list and capitalize it. When I say capitalize, I mean capitalize the first letter in each of these words. And this is how I'm going to be doing it using the for loop. First, we use the for keyword followed by a condition. The condition here is I in range length. This length is the length of our list which we have stored in the variable over here, which in this case is 5. So range of 5 will return us a list containing numbers from 0 to 4. So basically, this will initialize a variable I, which will change its value over the duration of this loop. This will first be 0 and then 1, then 2 and then 3 and then finally it would stop at 4 because that is the range which we have defined. Now in the body of the loop, I will index into our list using the variable I. After that, I will capitalize that word using the inbuilt capitalize function like this. Now we can print out this capitalized word to complete the body of our loop. We can now go over to our terminal and run this to observe the output which we get. I have saved this file as loops.py. So as we can see, we get all the 5 words from our list, but all of them have been capitalized in such a manner. There is another way to use a for loop in Python which is much more readable and has a more elegant syntax. And this is how it goes. Before I explain that, let me comment these lines out. And yes, in Python you can comment a line of code by prefixing it with the hashtag. Now coming back to the other way to use a for loop, we can do it like so. For every word in my list, I will print that word after capitalizing it. That's it. So here we are using a variable called word which accesses every element in the list we have defined. And in the body of a loop, we can use the exact same variable to do whatever we want. And in this case, we want to capitalize it. So we just print word.capitalize and that would do the exact same thing as the previous for loop. When we run this code, we get the exact same output as before. The second kind of loop in Python is the while loop, which does the exact same thing as the for loop, the only difference being that the syntax is slightly different. I will now code the same exact example which we used before using the while loop this time. So over here in our while loop, we first have to give a initial declaration or an initialization to the I variable, unlike the for loop. So here we initialize I to be 0, and our condition would be while I is less than length. So the length value for now is 5 and I for now is 0. So since 0 is less than 5, our condition right now is true. We would enter the body of our loop. In the body of our loop, I simply access that particular index of our list and then capitalize it and then print it. So this would print the first element from our list after capitalizing it. Now we have to increment our counter. So in this case, we would have to do I equals I plus 1. So since I was 0 before, we would have to make it 1 right now so that we can move over to the second element in our list. So this process carries on until the condition I less than length becomes false. So when I reaches 5, this condition would fail as 5 is not less than 5. It is equal to 5. So this condition would fail and we would exit the body of our loop. We can go over to our terminal again and run this thing, and we would again get the very same output as the previous ones. So that brings this video to an end, and I would recommend you to try out loops on your own so that you get a better understanding of the concept. In the next video, we will be looking at user-defined functions in Python, so please make sure you check that out as well.